Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. So on this channel we have already talked about Android security in the sense of how you can bypass the root verifications, how you can statically or dynamically change the Android application behavior, but today we are going to talk about Android traffic analysis. In this case we are going to be specifically talking about how to intercept and analyze traffic from Android applications. I have a sample application I want to show you. Basically I've developed it for those specific cases, and guys, disclaimer, only use it for security analysis. This is the main goal here, to show you how to perform the security analysis. Alright, today we're discussing how to intercept traffic from your mobile device web browser as well as an application on your mobile device. Let's go. So that's the plan for today's lesson. We're going to discuss how the proxy server works. We are going to discuss the SSL pinning we are going to use on our mobile application to basically intercept traffic. And we'll try Charles, because Charles is one of the most popular applications to analyze the network traffic. In the next lesson, we will also talk about how to filter traffic and also how to modify the requests on the fly, dynamically basically. How the typical traffic flows. Basically, it's going from client to server, nothing in the middle, right? But the proxy server works differently. It stays in the middle between the client and the server, and basically in our case, we will be using the proxy server to see the traffic. What's the difference between the proxy server and the VPN? Well, in case of the VPN, all traffic goes through the tunnel from your computer, your machine, to the remote VPN server, and basically it's like a tunnel. Your internet provider cannot see a thing. Basically it's all encrypted. But in case of the proxy, we can filter specific protocol and specific port, let's say HTTPS 8080 for example. So in this case only that port and protocol will be targeted, but everything else will be going the same way. For our purposes, the proxy server is ideal because we are going to be filtering the web browser traffic from our mobile device and also traffic from our application. And the next question comes up is how to actually activate the proxy server. Well, first of all, we need to understand what traffic analysis tool we are going to be using. In this case, we are going to be using the Charles, which is like one of the most popular applications out there. But you can also use Fiddler or Mitten Proxy for that. Basically, there are many applications. Unfortunately, most of them are paid. The next thing is going to be installing the certificate on our mobile device. So in this scenario, the website that you're visiting or application that you are opening is going to be thinking that this is a valid channel, and basically they should trust the certificate and open the traffic to it. Basically, it's like unlocking the traffic so we can see it. In this case, we're going to be installing the Charles certificate. And then, of course, we need to start the traffic analysis tool, so this way we can actually see the traffic and inspect it. So first of all, we need to add the proxy to our emulator, and we can use this command for that. You can also use the UI in your Android emulator or Android device, but I just recommend using the command line because it's really efficient, it's simple, and you always know that it was actually changed. Once we set our Android emulator or Android device to be using the proxy server for all the traffic, we need to install the certificate right there. So we need to actually install the certificate, right? Right. So you can just download it from this website, Charles Pro SSL, and then basically use this certificate on your mobile device. And this is how it looks like basically when you add a certificate on your mobile device. Then you need to check the certificate that it was actually installed. So this is the user certificate. You can go in an Android emulator UI and just check that, or you can also use the command to basically see if certificate was installed. Keep in mind that if something goes wrong in Charles application, you're going to see this message: SSL proxy not enabled for this host. And this means typically that you have not enabled SSL proxy. So basically you need to make sure that you did it all properly. But in case if you're using a mobile application, not a website, then things are going to be different, and we are going to discuss it later in this lesson. Those are the commands that you need to execute to check if everything is correct with your mobile device and the proxy server, basically if everything is set correctly. First, make sure the traffic is going through using the usual web browser, and then you can check how it all looks like when you use the Android application, because those cases are a bit different. Make sure that you actually set SSL proxy, so it should be set to 443 port, because this is the HTTPS traffic. Once you do everything properly, you're going to see the traffic decrypted. So all the requests are going to be visible in the Charles application, which is cool. But when we are talking about mobile applications, things are not as simple because the traffic still flows through the different channel. So, and we need to actually modify the application dynamically or statically so that it trusts the certificate and traffic actually goes through. So this is called SSL pinning. So we need to actually use tools like Frida and Objection to modify the application on the fly. That's how Objection looks like when it's actually launched side by side with the application. So we need to actually run our application and then connect Objection or Frida to our application. And this way we're going to execute the script that will bypass those certificate validations, and we are going to see the traffic decrypted. Once we do it like that, we're going to see all the traffic decrypted. In this case, this is the GET request to HTTP bin website. Basically, we're just checking that connection is going through, and this request was coming from the mobile application. In order to be able to change our app behavior, we need to install Frida server on our device. And in this case, it's actually not possible to run it on just a typical emulator. We need to use a rooted emulator, which means only specific emulator could be used. So yeah, just keep that in mind, otherwise it's not going to be possible to run the Frida server, and you're not going to be able to run your application analysis. So just keep that in mind, only rooted emulator. Then we basically launch the Frida server, then we launch the application, and then we can work with it. And those are the useful commands. You need to type adb root, basically to restart adb in root mode, and then you can just upload your Frida server to your device. If you want, you can also execute this command just to make sure that Frida server is running and everything is working properly.